This week, we talk Season 2 of Arcane, Citizen Sleeper, Warcraft Direct, and a very controversial year at the Game Awards.
Hi, I'm Nick, and first Astro was a boy, then a dog, and now he's nominated for every fucking category in the world.
Hi, I'm Josh, and my year has also been controversial.
I'm Andy, and this is VideoGameTango. Hey everybody, welcome back.
They tried to keep us off the air, but we wouldn't let them.
That's true.
They seem to do that a lot.
Yeah.
We were gone for 2 weeks because, well, we were gone for 2 weeks. Hey, so we're here to talk about video games and video game related things. I think we should just kick it off, eh?
Yeah.
So
Games.
I don't know if you guys have heard about a little game called League of Legends. Kind of popular, a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
But also a show called Arcane on Netflix.
Now that I have heard of.
Haven't heard of it. No.
We actually talked about the first season of Arcane on the podcast. That came out in like 2021 or something like that. So we're going to talk about the second season, or I'm going to talk about the second season. No spoilers. I'm going to try my best to keep it spoiler free, and everything that I have to talk about, I've planned ahead of time. I've got bullet points. So I'm going to talk on a high level, not get into the nitty gritty. I'm not going to give away any like plot points or anything like that. I get it if you're extra sensitive to spoilers, and any talk or any visuals of it are considered spoilers for you. So I'm also only going to show on screen the trailer for the first season. So as long as you've watched the first season, there shouldn't be any like conflict here. And I'm only going to be really comparing the second season to the first season because I'm again doing my best to avoid spoilers here, and I don't think that's going to be a problem. So jumping right into it. The first 6 episodes are out now. They're coming out 3 episodes a week right now. This is the second week. The end of this week marks the third week where the last 3 episodes are coming out.
So the whole thing's almost out already.
Whole thing's almost out already. Yeah, we've got 2/3 of all the episodes. And so I want to preface this with, I really like Arcane, including season 2. So everything that it's going to sound a little bit like I'm shitting on Arcane. I'm not. I think it's excellent. But I think I'm going to kind of make a couple definitions. I think the first season of Arcane was great in that there was like actual greatness there. It did really good things, I think, for video games in that like it's a really excellent transitioned to another medium from a video game. So we have a video game franchise going into another medium. I think it expanded on the property, and I think it did a good service. I love Arcane. I don't care for League of Legends. I think Arcane is made better and is just in all natures better, in my opinion. So I think it did some really great things. I think that applies to season 1. I think season 2 is a little bit more geared towards League of Legends players. I think you could have really enjoyed season 1, having never played League of Legends, not even knowing about it, right? And really enjoyed season 1. I think it was just standalone. It worked really well, and it was a fantastic show. The second season, I think, similarly, it's a good show. It's even an excellent show. But I think it loses a little bit of the greatness, right? In that it definitely feels like the second season is like a reason to... Now, I don't know League of Legends characters, so I can't tell you if the characters in the show are legitimately from League of Legends or they're making this up for the Arcane property. But they do throw a lot of characters that I'm not familiar with in season 1 into season 2. And I don't think that's any big surprise to anybody. The League of Legends has a huge roster of characters, right?
Yeah.
There's parts of it that feel a little fan servicey. Where the first one, I didn't feel that at all. Even though it was there, it existed. This one feels a little bit more in your face with the fan service. Feels like we're getting potentially, characters all the time that I'm not familiar with, so I don't have any kind of connection with. So for me to see them on screen doesn't do anything for me other than add a new character to an already pretty complex storyline. So I do have a little bit of a problem in that scene. Again, these are nitpicky things, I want to again reiterate that I do really enjoy the second season. I think too much happens in too little time. I think season 1 had a really great, like, overarching story arc that you followed 2 essentially main characters and their dealings in a story that did incorporate other characters and other storylines into it, but you had effectively a main arcing story. I think season 2 does away with that a little bit.
Real quick, is season 1 in the era of 10 or 12 episodes? Because that's like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know if season 1, but if that was in the era of 12 episodes or 10 episodes, they just plain had more time.
In 9 episodes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was pretty sure that they were the same.
I just wanted to double check.
checked,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just
I
wanted to
didn't
double
know.
check.
Yeah.
Sorry to jump in there real quick.
No,
but
that's perfect. No, I appreciate it. So too many events in too little time. I think there is a lot happening in that they will go between storylines that have already been established in season 1 while adding additional ones really, really frequently. And I think that we're not getting enough focus on main storylines or key storylines to the plot. I do think that it feels like they're tying stuff in together pretty well as far as I am in the show. But it has me a little bit worried that there's going to be a lot of things left untouched. I don't know that for sure. Again, 6 out of 9 episodes. But it does have me a little bit worried for that. I have problems with the lack of subtlety in the show as well. I think there was a lot of, like, the season 1 of Arcane was extremely emotional. Like, tear jerking. I cried during the first season of Arcane. I definitely don't feel that way this time. We got to experience characters and their bonds and their growth. There were deaths in season 1 that were extremely impactful, or even just events that happened in season 1 that were very, very impactful. And I feel there's significantly less of that, but it feels like the writers are really pushing that, if that makes sense. So they're trying, and I think kind of failing, to barrage you with stuff that's supposed to make you feel something. And I think that cheapens the moments that would have normally been emotional moments for me, because they're just throwing that at you all the time.
Okay. No, I get that.
There's also a lot of what I would say changes in morals and drive of the characters. It feels like at the drop of a hat, they will change somebody's story arc completely and do like a sub-tuple bluff, was, like kind of what we call it amongst our group, is that the motivation for things doesn't seem to matter, because characters seem to make split-second decisions that completely change who they were moments ago. And I'm having a little bit of a problem with that. I think there's too many montages. There's like multiple montages per episode in some cases, where the soundtrack is brilliant, but like it's a little much to have like interspersed, sprinkled throughout an episode, like 2 to 3 minute montages, sometimes multiple times an episode. I really appreciate what they're doing with the soundtrack and how appropriate the soundtrack is. And I think the feeling that they're trying to convey to you. I also like the fact that, just like season 1, they change up the art style for those kinds of moments. And I think that's really cool. I think there's too many of them, where I think they could have given a little bit more time to character development and world building like they did in the first season. And that brings me to, there's no rules in the second season. The first season, sure, there's some stuff that they don't flat out explain. You're just expected that they fit in this world, and it always feels like they did fit in the world with the hex tech and what's essentially magic and technology being combined. I thought that was all really cool, and I think they did a really good job presenting the juxtaposition of what is essentially high magic versus technology, and then the integration of the two of them. That was pretty important plot points in the first season, and continues to be so in the second season, because that's where we're effectively left off in the first season. but there doesn't seem to be any more rules as to how that stuff works. Where it felt relatively simple, like it was being used in harnesses like an energy source, or they were just trying to figure this out. Now it seems like they jumped right into it being like a usable commodity, and everybody's got parts of this hex tech, and it's just kind of there, and it's used in a myriad of different ways. So that's a little bit worrying for me as well. But it just, compared to the first season, it feels quite disjointed. Not that this season is bad. It's only in comparison to the first season. It's like comparing the first Jurassic Park to Jurassic Park 2. I think Jurassic Park 2 is a great movie. Holds up, stands up, love it. But was it the groundbreaking movie that Jurassic Park was? No, not in my opinion. Again, it's excellent.
What did you like about it?
Well, the soundtrack is phenomenal. I think they've improved the art even over the first one, which was already, yes, it was already incredible. I actually had to go back and watch the first one because I was super impressed with the way this looked.
Yeah.
And I went back and watched, scrubbed through the first few episodes of the first season, and there is a tangible difference in quality between the first season and the second season, which you're right, it's impressive because the first season looked phenomenal. But that's what I really liked about it. I think the show is good. I think it could have, I don't know, it feels like it's lacking the heart that the first season had. It's hard to break that down into like technical reasons why it didn't. That's why I kind of did bullet points.
Like a lot of what you're talking about kind of feels like intangibles and like
it feels different. It feels different than the first season did.
But so some of what I saw, like trying to be as spoiler free, because I haven't seen anything of it yet. So trying to be spoiler free, looking at reviews, looking at what people are saying. I saw a lot of people kind of disparaging against it based on just like how the dialogue feels different. There were some people saying that they thought the writers may have been different, but that seems to be unconfirmed. And then as I went a little further in, a lot of people were saying the second season is suffering from Korra syndrome from Last Avatar. Whereas it is, you want it to be so much what the first thing was, because that was, the proverbial chef's kiss.
Yeah. That's what we fell in love with.
That's what you fell in love with. That when you're like seeing this, it's like, because there's a lot of people like, this is just as good, it's just different.
Yeah.
And so it might get that Korra treatment, because Korra had a glow up, of course, years after it ended. People are like, oh, this is great. So it might be just a case of that. There was a lot of people being like, oh, just give it a couple of days, go back and watch it. Your hype was too high coming into this. Watch those episodes a second time, see what you think. So there was a lot more of that as I went deeper in. I'm always apprehensive about a second season of something, or a sequel to something that I loved so very much in the part one, or the first season, or what have you. Because is it going to inspire that same feeling? Is it just as good? You hope, but so it seems like it's up in the air still, at least for me. Would you say so? Like quality wise for soundtrack and animation, as good or as better than last season? But would you say like the dialogue and the emotion is not there that the first season had?
I think the dialogue is still there, but I definitely think the emotion is not there. it feels like they're forcing you to emote in the second season, where the first season the emotional pull it got from me was natural.
It felt more organic.
It was because of the actions that were happening, not because I was being told by a soundtrack, not because I was being told by writers to feel a certain way. It certainly feels more forced, and I feel like the success of the first one is what caused that problem in the second season. Is it's like we, as writers, we managed to pull at the heartstrings of millions of people. We got huge reviews, and they talked about the emotional impact that it had, and it feels like they're really seeking that out this time rather than just allowing the story to do so.
Okay.
That's probably my biggest complaint about it. Again, I have to reiterate, it's excellent. As far as quality of show, it is like S tier. It just doesn't have the same heart and feeling that the first one elicited from me, right?
Okay.
It feels forced in parts, and like they're trying to bait the feeling out of me, right? And it's not really working. It's unfortunate. I'm still looking forward to watching the last three. I have really enjoyed this series, the first 6 episodes of the second season, and look forward to more. I just being that this is apparently supposed to be the last season of Arcane, it worries me that there's only 3 episodes left. Right. Because I feel like there's so much more that we could have explored in the second season that we don't get. And a lot of the content of the second season could have warranted a third season. In all truthfulness, like it feels like they're doing too much too fast, where it could have been drawn out more. In fact, I think it would have benefited from being a little bit more drawn out. I think a lot of what they feel should be impactful would be impactful if it was given more time to bake. So, I think that's like, as far as the 2 core problems, it's the tempo in which everything is happening and just kind of being forced to feel something. Yeah. Again, watch it. I think it's fantastic. Like, there's people that I think League players will probably see the second season as a better season than the first one, because it is, I feel like it is meant for League players more than the first season was, because a lot of cool stuff is happening with characters that they know and love, and there's a chance that maybe their main shows up in the second season. Again, I don't know the characters of League of Legends, so I can't confirm or deny whether there's
200 of them. So
yeah, exactly. And I can't say whether any of them are like made for the show specifically, or if they come straight from League. But there's a lot of them, and they all have, in 9 episodes, they've got like probably 15, 16 like ongoing stories of characters, and I think that's really hard to do in so few episodes. That said, it sounds like I'm complaining about the show. I'm really not. Like, this is only in comparison to the first season. Still, again, I think it's excellent. I think if you like the first season, you should watch the second season, certainly. Anywho, Nick.
Hello. So I recently realized that I still had a subscription to Game Pass going.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, let me check out what they've added since I last tried it out. And there's a couple games stood out. I was able to play through one of them. I have a few more that I want to try. I also had the curious bite to try out the remake of Ark, which I do not recommend. They somehow made that game worse by remaking it. So don't do that. Don't play that. Don't give them your money. But the game I did play that I enjoyed has actually been around for a little while now. It had been up my alley. I just wasn't really sure what the game was about. I just vaguely knew about it. And if you have Game Pass, it's free on there. It is Citizen Sleeper. And now having played it and realizing what the intent of it was, it makes a lot of sense. So the boilerplate here is role-playing in the ruins of interplanetary capitalism. You live the life of an escaped android worker washed up on a lawless station at the edge of an interstellar society. Inspired by the flexibility and freedom of TTRPGs, explore the station, choose your friends, escape the past, and change your future. So yeah, you go into this and the game plays very heavily like a sci-fi RPG, to the point where almost immediately I picked up on the core gameplay loop and mechanics uses the clocks from Blades in the Dark. Everything on this game is timed. So after your initial 5 minutes, as you realize your android escaped a place and he's here and there's things that you need just to survive, and you need to find a way to make those happen. Every day that passes, you can only do so many actions, and all of your resources and ticking clocks pass every day. So there's this amazing, not overwhelming, but whelming pressure on you to make sure that you aren't just whiling away your time, right? It's not terribly easy to waste your time in this game, but it is possible if you're not paying attention. But what I do like about it is that it is very well written. The prose especially is very, very good. And it does feel like you are getting to play through a sci-fi tabletop game with how your interactions with other characters work, how your relationships develop with them, your slow growing sense of the power of your character. You have 6 stats. They get some flat bonuses and then some unique benefits, but they grow slowly over the game, and they're not overpowered. You're never becoming a superhero by any means in this game. What I liked about it, again, I like agency in games. And in this game, your NPCs that you interact with and the decisions you make have a big impact. You cannot fully trust people just because they come off a certain way. You can get backstabbed and blackmailed because you are what amounts to a lower class citizen immigrant in a lawless ring space station being hunted by multiple people. And it was really nice that the mechanics of the gameplay themselves are so simple. Because what it means is that you could focus really heavily on the impact of the actions that you are making. There's a nice little hold your butt moment whenever you take an action, is like a short loading bar fills to tell you how successful your action was. And sometimes you'd sit there just like 30 seconds before you click, like, am I willing to risk this, if things go badly? But no, I really, really liked it. I don't want to spoil anything about the story. It's worth playing. It's got maybe 6 to 10 hours of gameplay, somewhere in there in that region. But the second game in the series is coming out sometime next year. I had to look this up because I enjoyed it so much. It's developed by a single guy. He runs the Jump Over the Age development team. He also made In Other Waters, which kind of blew up in the indie scene a couple years ago. It was explore an alien water planet through a UI of like machines and submarines, which was very cool. He also runs a blog called Heterotopia. His name is Gareth Damian Martin. His blog is all about the intersection of architecture and video games and the design of virtual spaces. And it shows in his game the like liminal 80s quality to the game, fits the aesthetic really well. And character design and art, when you do see the NPCs, very Kill 6 Billion Demons looking art, if you're familiar. But no, I really, really, really enjoyed the game. It's definitely worth at least the $20 it's being charged for on Steam. But it looks like you can get on pretty much any platform, consoles included.
Yeah.
So if you want a really solid sci-fi story that you get to play through, and I imagine multiple playthroughs could get you really quite different outcomes, it's one of those games that it's so done, like the agency and your control over what happens in the story and how that plays out is so good that even though it probably would be great for multiple playthroughs, I felt no need to play through it again, because it's like I got to experience, the storyline that I tried to make happen. And a lot of things went wrong, but no, it was really good. And it touches on a lot of modern factors, as good sci-fi does. Like, how do you live in a hyper-capitalist society when you're a lower-class citizen and you're making relations with people around you who are doing whatever they can to survive in this crazy world?
You make do with a quarter portion.
Yeah.
Quarter portion.
Or you riot.
Or
Yeah.
Those are your two options. So yeah, that's Citizen Sleeper. If you don't have the $20 and you don't have Game Pass, look it up on YouTube. Like, view it as like a movie. Watch somebody else play it, and it's not going to be as good, but I think it's worth your time.
Well, it's $20, right? And then we have Steam autumn sale coming up soon.
Very soon.
And given that it's already 2 years old, it'll probably go on sale. But
the art for it looked really cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you figure you paid $15 to see a movie, this is $20, and it's a 5 to 10 hour movie that you get to control.
Yeah.
And,
and then, of course, there's always Game Pass. Get yourself a free trial.
The only spoiler I'm going to give is there is a vending machine taken over by an AI and is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah?
Yeah. I almost felt like it wasn't a secret, but it was really hard to find. And then it became like a really pivotal thing.
Cool.
It's like this AI vending. It talks by moving its armatures and making them vibrate.
That's dope.
It's like those old hard drive music you saw on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Playing the Halo theme. Yeah.
I was like, what a brilliant idea.
That's super cool.
Crushinator needs more snacks.
I love
Pretty
that.
much. Yeah.
Now, what's the developer's name? Gareth?
His name is Gareth Damian Martin. His company that makes these games is Jump Over the Age. And he is published by Fellow Traveler, who does a lot of other similar games, heavily narrative, heavily story-rich games. If I go back to that page, if Steam wants to load, there's a couple others that have caught my eye in the past. Suzerain, which you might like. It's kind of like a narrative version of like a modern Paradox game.
Okay.
So, doing like the 4X stuff, you're running a nation, but like in a narrative style. What were some of the other ones? The Pale Beyond, I've heard.
Yeah.
They just released Great God Grove, which is getting really good sales. And most of the published games here have really positive or overwhelmingly positive reviews. So good stuff.
Yeah, I actually just while you're talking about it, I went to Steam and wishlisted it real quick.
Yeah.
So yeah. Hopefully I see it on. I mean, I have Game Pass. I should probably just play it on Game Pass. That's what I need to do.
It's also tiny. It's just like a couple gigs.
Yeah. Dude, I love that so much about indie games, man. When you buy an indie game and you click install and like before you get to your home page on Steam, it's already ready to go, or it's like 99%.
It's also on Nintendo Switch. It would play excellently on there.
Yeah, no, that's a good option for sure. I love it. Well, we've been gone for a couple weeks, but not a whole lot has happened in gaming and gaming news. I mean, we're ramping up. It's the end of summer, the beginning of the winter season, where there aren't going to be too many announcements. There's going to be lots of sales, but
they're hyping us up for next year's games at this point, right? That's what we're in the season of.
Effectively. However, while there wasn't a BlizzCon this year, there was a Warcraft Direct. So just like a Nintendo Direct, the guys at Activision Blizzard decided, especially, it makes sense. It's the 30th year of Warcraft, the 20th year of World of Warcraft, the 10th year of Hearthstone, the first year of Warcraft Rumble, right?
Okay,
I mean, like lots of anniversaries happening. What is that? Bronze, silver, gold anniversaries or something like that. Yeah, something crazy. But yeah, so there have been a lot of a wild amount of announcements for Warcraft. I'm going to keep this short. But they started off with the Warcraft Battle Chest Remastered. So you will have an opportunity to buy Warcraft 1, 2, and 3 again if you so choose. However, if you have like Reforged already, it's going to be cheaper. You're not going to have to buy Reforged again. Warcraft 1 comes in, like you can buy them a la carte as well. Warcraft 1 comes in at $9.99. Warcraft 2 comes in at $14.99. And then Warcraft 3 Reforged comes in at $29.99. They have remastered Warcraft 1 and 2, and not just visual updates, but also updates to the UI and gameplay. So like Warcraft 1 didn't have a right click.
Yeah.
You can only select 4 units, and now you can select 12. You can also do shortcuts like you did Warcraft and StarCraft. So I think those are some nice quality of life updates to Warcraft 1, and especially if you
good to standardize it.
Yeah, for sure. So it basically parodies Warcraft 2 in its functionality essentially. So that's great, fantastic. And for people that haven't gone back to play the old games, I think it's a good time to go back and play the games. Like if you've never purchased them and you've never played them, I think it's a good time to go back and play the games if you're into the franchise, especially since they are getting graphics overhauls, UI updates, and some quality of life changes. So I think, it's a cash grab for the Warcraft lovers, but if you haven't played them, probably worth it to play them. Also, Warcraft Reforged is getting a 2.0. They reforged Warcraft 3 Reforged, and so far the reaction is mixed. There's a lot of people that are happy with it. There's a lot of people that aren't. I think there's going to be a lot of people that will never be happy with it because of the kerfuffle that Warcraft 3 Reforged was in the first place. So it's mixed. I haven't tried it myself, so I can't verify one way or another. I don't have an opinion on it. But it is in 2.0.
Okay.
Hearthstone, they're throwing out StarCraft theme cards as a mini set. So you can change the themes of your decks so that if you play Death Knight, Demon Hunter, or Warlock, you can be Zerg. If you're a Druid, Mage, Priest, or Rogue, you can be Protoss. Or if you're Paladin, Shaman, or Warrior, you can be Terran. They're also fully overhauling the arena mode. So there's going to be 2 different kinds of arena. There's going to be one that's like a quick play style, and the matches are super fast and no more than 10 minutes. There's also going to be a new ranked arena that's going to have like longer matches. So that's cool for people that play Hearthstone still. Warcraft Rumble is coming to PC. Cool. Season of Discovery is getting Encourage. And Season of Discovery is something that I've been following pretty closely. While I haven't been playing it because I have been playing retail WoW, Season of Discovery is a lot of fun. The fact that you can be a healing mage and a tanking rogue, and they've just completely changed up the formulas, changed the raids and dungeon encounters to be old but new again, I think is super cool. So they're going to be throwing out Encourage here real soon. And then sometime spring next year, we should be getting Noxramas as well. And then it'll be interesting to see if they continue on to Burning Crusade with Season of Discovery.
We'll see.
Yeah. Firelands is coming to Cataclysm Classic, and then they announced that they're going to be doing a Mists of Pandaria Classic as well. So you'll be able to bring your Cataclysm characters from Cataclysm Classic to Mists of Pandaria Classic if you are into the Classic game. Speaking of Classic, WoW Classic Anniversary Edition is coming out. Fresh Classic realms, including Hardcore, has PvP and PvE realms that will allow you to progress into Burning Classic Crusade or Burning Crusade Classic. God, there's so much happening in WoW.
Good Lord.
Yeah. They're dropping some quality of life improvements. There were issues with Classic launch where too many players in one zone, crashing servers, the same thing that happened during Warcraft launch, the original, or any major expansion launch, especially in the early days, is they're changing that. So they're doing sharding on, I know that sounds funny, but they do shards. They shard realms.
Yep.
So you can find
Not
yourself on a
T.
particular shard. So some quality of life improvements there. They're also bringing in proximity chat to Classic WoW,
Oh, fun.
which I think could be really interesting or racist. We'll see.
Maybe probably a little bit of both.
Yeah,
if we're being honest,
probably a little bit
it's
of
the
both.
internet.
Yeah.
So
Now there's cool stuff happening, like OnlyFans. If you guys have heard about that,
is that
question.
only
yeah,
things?
OnlyFans.
Oh,
One, do you mean VoIP or text?
VoIP.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like the different races speak different languages.
Right.
So it's like,
No, it's VoIP and it's proximity chat. So you will.
Bad idea.
It's an interesting idea for sure. Like OnlyFans, the biggest guild, the streamer guild. If you're following that, it's really funny. They are going to be doing proximity chat only, even for their raids. So that'll be fun to at least watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the War Within, the Siren Isle, the new zone and quest area and part of the new story is progressing. That's on PTR now. And they're also changing, they're doing Winter Veil updates. So they're updating the old Winter Veil holiday for World of Warcraft. Plunderstorm is coming back. So the World of Warcraft, why can't I think of a Battle Royale is coming back. So if you're subscribed to World of Warcraft, you can play Plunderstorm. It's actually like a lot of fun. We've talked about it before, so I won't bore you with that. Also, a new novella just came out called Heartlands. It's read by Chris Metzen and details the events of Jaina and Thrall after the fall of Dalaran in The War Within.
Cue Pornhub drum set noise.
Then Undermine launches late winter, early spring 2025 with a new zone, raid, dungeon, delves, drive, which they talked about for a really long time on the Warcraft Direct. I don't get it, but that's the whole thing. It's a new mount system for this specific zone.
Okay.
And Warband UI updates. I'm going to make sure I have all the links to all this stuff, including the Warcraft Direct. So if you are a Warcraft player of any kind, the original RTSs or World of Warcraft, there is a lot of content coming through the pipeline. On top of that, Blizzard just started hiring a bunch of people for an open world shooter, rumored to be a StarCraft shooter. So I think that, maybe we'll
It'll finally happen.
I don't know about that. Yeah, we'll see. StarCraft Ghost 2 will come out before StarCraft Ghost 1 comes out. Yeah. But yeah, that is all the updates on the Warcraft Direct.
Okay. Thank you.
Coming December, we have the Game Awards.
Awards.
And boy, oh boy, the Game Awards have been a hot button issue in the gaming sphere as of late.
Someone's going to die this year. I can feel it.
Dude, maybe. That shit's wild, man. What's his name? Christopher Judge will read an ebook on stage or something like that. Yeah, but man, so there's
Al Pacino, who was on.
Yeah, it was Al Pacino on the last one. Yeah, Al Pacino.
Famous gamer.
Yeah, big gamer. Yeah.
They're all playing video games.
I mean, at this point, is anybody watching the awards show?
Yeah.
We watch the awards show so we can see all the new content coming.
Yeah, but that's what most people are watching the awards show. I mean, I don't really feel like they're watching the awards show to watch the same 6 games get all the noms. Like that doesn't. I don't know. Maybe that's just how it works nowadays. I don't watch a lot of award shows. Maybe the Oscars are just that way. It's the same 5 movies that get all the awards.
Yeah.
So the thing is it didn't feel like any of those games were like Breaking Bad. You see something like Breaking Bad and you're like, yeah, no shit, that gets all the awards. But like, I don't know, it didn't.
Well, let's go through them and see.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's go over.
So before we get to those specifically, there is resistance against the Game Awards because they are doing a lot of remasters, remakes, DLC, and additional content for games,
money,
and classifying and allowing them to be in class and compete with other games in the same category.
It didn't sit well.
Don't make no sense to me.
No. So first, we have Game of the Year. The nominees are Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
I am unsure how to feel about DLCs being nominated for Game of the Year.
I don't think they
too.
should. I don't think they should.
Depends on how much content is in the DLC.
Shadow of the Erd Tree feels like, again, I'm not an Elden Ring player, but it seems like Shadow of the Erd Tree is a lot of additional content. Like, nearly doubles the scope of the original game.
Yeah, but they have a category for that. It's called Best Ongoing Game.
Right. And that's where I see the biggest problem.
Like, that's why you have different categories, is so that, like, it's like, well, this is DLC because it's not as much as there is, it's not a full game.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I feel like something like Final Fantasy Rebirth, because of the amount of time between Final Fantasy VII and what's going on here and how much they're doing, excuse me, I feel like that qualifies as it. Like, it's not a a full. You know what I mean?
I agree with you, but it still feels icky for me. And somebody that loves the Final Fantasy VII franchise,
like it's borderline. But there's a valid argument for why it belongs in the category. Whereas something as cool and as bitchin' as Elden Ring is, and as maybe as much content as this DLC has, I don't feel like it belongs here. It has a category for that.
Yeah.
I think you're right. At the end of the day, it's like, why are we having categories?
Astrobot was
games
just good fun.
Just to be in every
Right.
category.
Yeah,
it can be really
exactly.
great, but
Because as we go on, you'll see a continuing theme with all of the nominees. They're all the same. Like, we're gonna go from best game, like game of the year, to best game direction, and it is the exact same list of games. It is Astrobot, Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erdtree, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Then we're going to go to best narrative, and this changes it up a little bit. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is back again, but we have Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth, Metaphor, Refantasio, I don't know. But Metaphor, Senua Saga Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2.
I mean, Silent Hill 2 is just a remake.
Yeah,
right?
It is.
So why
But
is it up there?
Final Fantasy VII Remake,
The Final Fantasy VII remakes are almost entirely different games.
Yeah,
they are. Listen,
Right. They play entirely differently. The important thing is, like, from a gameplay perspective, they play like a different game.
Yes,
I've seen
absolutely.
Silent Hill 2. It's great. Don't get me wrong.
It's silent.
It plays like Silent Hill.
Yeah.
You know, there was not enough in the core mechanics of the original Silent Hill for them to make a major deviation from it.
Yeah.
Whereas Final Fantasy VII goes from what amounted to turn-based combat, you know, with 90s JRPG mechanics, to the complex 3D real-time fighting that you
Excellent
do
point.
in the remakes, right?
Yeah. No, you make valid arguments. For me, like, even as the biggest Final Fantasy VII lover of our bunch, it still feels. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, especially seeing it in so many different categories.
For like this category?
For a lot of these categories, I think it has a great narrative, but so did Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That's another good point. Like, this is a category about narrative. The narrative hasn't changed from the first one, you know?
Yeah.
So,
so to see it, like, you can treat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth as a sequel to Remake. You absolutely can. I think there is a good argument to be made there, but, you know, best narrative, I guess because Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't win best narrative previously, it's fine.
There could be some politics at play there.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird, man. Maybe like the selection of games that came out this year is huge, but we're only pulling from the AAA titles that really sold well in most of these. I mean, that's made blatantly clear as we go through the list. Best art direction goes to Astrobot or Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Metaphor, or Neva.
Neva looks like the same company made Gris, which blew up.
See, Elden Ring could be in this category because it's art direction, right? Like, and it's a DLC. Like, it makes sense for it to be here in this category. And like, I'm not opposed to some games being in multiple categories.
100%.
But like, so far, like, I mean, are people going to think that Black Myth Wukong and Astrobot and Elden Ring are the only games that came out this fucking year?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, I guess they are effectively. Based on what we're seeing here, they are effectively, other than Black Ops 6. We'll see that later on down the line.
The only small thread that I can see why Astrobot should be in this, what was the name of the category? Scroll up.
It's best art direction.
As they say, also for animation.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great for what it is, but it looks like every other bubble 3D puzzle platformer I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Elden Ring and Black Myth have found their niche. Like, Black Myth, don't get me wrong, there's been a lot of these Chinese lore games coming out. There was a big one that came out before Black Myth.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Metaphor is in the Persona vibe, which is known for its art. And then, Neva, same developer as Gris. So, I don't know why.
I think
Astrobot in there.
I think most of these make sense except for Astrobot. Like, you know, Black Myth Wukong is like, it's
Visually stunning.
gorgeous. Yeah, it's 100%. So is Elden Ring. I mean,
Yeah,
100%. Like, especially because it flirts with different styles all the time. Like as you're playing through the game, I think that's fantastic. Metaphor, it doesn't do it for me, but I totally get it. Right, that makes sense to me. Neva, yes, sure. It's beautiful in the way that like Ori and the Blind Forest was. I don't think there's any uniqueness there, but I think visually it looks fantastic. Sure. We have best score and music.
Again,
Astrobot. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth 100% belongs on the
Oh,
list.
I'm sure. All the Final
Holy
Fantasy
shit!
games
Like,
kill it.
I thought I would have a hard time with the remake and Rebirth music in getting remixes effectively of music that I know and love, in my core. But good God, did they do that music justice? And not only that, but they have new original scores all over the place, and they're all fantastic. Like, there hasn't been bad music in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There hasn't been repetitive music in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and there's new music all the time. Like, you don't get the town music when you go to town. It's new for every place. It's fantastic. Metaphor, I'm sure. I mean, they've always had good music. The franchise is like
It looks like it's partially related to Persona. Persona is very jazz, hip hop inspired, and like music is really important in those games.
Yeah.
Silent Hill 2,
style in all ways.
I mean, it kind of by default is going to have good ambiance and fit for the sound design because it needs it. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
And then everything I can see from Citadel Blade, like I don't see a single person saying that their soundtrack isn't great.
Yeah,
which
no,
again
100%.
just leaves fucking Astrobot. Which
Astrobot.
I can't have an opinion because I haven't seen more than Donkey play it, and I vaguely remember it. But
dude, it's being
it could be really good.
It's being what looks like aptly compared to Mario. So, and Mario has bangers. So maybe.
I'll have to check it out.
Best audio design, Astrobot again. Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Hellblade 2, and Silent Hill 2.
It's kind of ironic, maybe just funny, that Hellblade 2 has been nominated for narrative and sound because the gameplay itself was so great in the second one.
Yeah.
It does deserve some awards for certain things, but they took a huge gamble on the second one, gameplay wise.
To be honest, sound design just in the trailer for Hellblade 2,
was
the first one, get out. I'm like, I get it.
Intense.
100%. Yeah. I think all of these probably make sense. I don't know about Black Ops 6. Like, to be honest, it's the same engine.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's like more crisp gunfire.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure they do a lot of work on the sound design in those games.
Yeah. That's one of the complaints that I hear most frequently, though, is like, that guy didn't have any footsteps or, So
this time they really perfected the sound of regret of just wanting to get money for college. You can really feel that in the sound design this year.
Best performance, a bunch of people that I don't know. Great for them.
Does it say what they played?
It doesn't.
At least what they were in.
It says, it says what they're in. So Brianna White, who I know who she is, she's the voice of Aerith for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. Okay. She is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, but she's for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Hannah Tell is for Life is Strange Double Exposure. Humberly Gonzalez is Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm pretty sure she's KVX.
Yeah?
The main character.
Yeah, the main character.
That would make sense.
Luke Roberts for Silent Hill 2 and Melina Juergens for Hellblade 2, which, I get 100%. So a lot of those make sense. Innovation and accessibility. This is one that I can't chime in on at all because I don't have any kind of accessibility problems, and it's not something that I follow closely. I know that Activision Blizzard does pay a lot of attention to accessibility. So I think it makes sense that Black Ops 6 and Diablo 4 is in there. I don't know specifically what those two do for accessibility, but as a World of Warcraft player, the accessibility panel is maybe the most complex and thorough menu in all of video games that I've ever seen. So I have no doubts that.
They've got a accessible screen reader, fully customizable mouse, keyboard controls, colorblind filters, text-to-speech options for chat, and expanded difficulty settings,
Okay.
according to this review of their accessibility.
Yeah, all that makes sense to me. Dragon Age: The Veilguard, which I'm surprised that this is the first time we're seeing Veilguard on any of these lists,
things,
considering that
Not.
Yeah, no, I know there's a lot of complaints about it, but it's sold really well, which seems to be the only measure that they're taking here for a lot of these games.
The general vibe I got from it, from the people I trust, is the game's got a hell of a lot of heart.
Yeah,
You could tell they put a lot of heart into the game.
yeah,
That's about where it ends.
right.
So
Sure.
I think, yeah, they clearly put a lot of effort into it, but effort doesn't always equate to quality.
Yeah, definitely. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown and Star Wars Outlaws are also part of the list of innovation and accessibility. Games for impact, we have Closer the Distance, Indica. I don't know if it's Never and Eva. I apologize. Life is Strange, Double Exposure, and Hellblade 2.
These are Impact was games with a important message.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Best ongoing games. This is funny. Destiny 2,
Yes.
Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 14, Fortnite, and then Helldivers 2.
Yeah. It's like
Best ongoing, huh?
So, I mean, your brother plays Destiny 2. How does he feel about the latest expansion?
the whole final shape stuff
Yeah.
was for the most part fantastic.
Okay.
Everybody loved that.
That's what I've been
Right.
that's what I've been hearing from people that play it.
Yeah, he takes breaks from it and he comes back to it, and him and his friends no life it for like a month, and then they take it same like they do with the other one.
Yeah.
It's a robot ninja game.
It's the
Warframe.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, yeah, Bungie's really, they've tried with Destiny
Sure.
2. They haven't failed. Diablo 4, I can't speak to.
Diablo 4, it seems like they're it's Diablo 3 had its issues as far as ongoing game went, but then Reaper of Souls happened, and obviously we know where that went. It was hugely popular, touted as really good. It seems like Diablo 4 is getting kind of the same treatment. It seems like as the game ages, it's better for its players. Final Fantasy 14, I think, makes sense.
Yeah, perfect sense.
Yeah, total sense. Fortnite, sure, I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then Helldivers 2.
That's
I thought I saw No Man's Sky on this list when I looked earlier.
oh no, that's the next one. I
Yeah,
think.
that is the next one.
It was under ongoing support.
Well, the next one
they
is
changed
best
community
community
support.
support is No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the difference?
Best community support. Let's take a look. So, best ongoing is awarded to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that evolves the player experience over time.
So
Oh, I
they
guess
keep-
Helldivers 2 does deserve to be there because it took what was something fun and turned it into a turd in incredibly fast fashion.
They have evolved
Yeah.
the golden gem into feces. That is true.
Then
So I guess that's just content, right?
content.
They keep pumping content.
keep pushing content. Okay, so best community support is recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsiveness, inclusive of social media activity and game updates and patches.
Okay.
So on that list, we have Baldur's Gate 3, total sense.
Yep.
Get it. Final Fantasy 14, great. Fortnite, great. Helldivers 2, again, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily doing what the community wants.
Yeah,
But they
being
sure
very
are doing it to the
transparent
community.
and responsive, but that is yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a shit fiesta. And then No Man's Sky. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody could have predicted that No Man's Sky would be where it is.
I know. They've
Like that game was done,
yeah.
and then they're like, "Nope, we're not going to give up." We're
They
gonna
didn't
be
give
amazing.
up. They kept going.
Stick to itiveness.
That's right. Best indie game, an important one. Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50. I haven't heard of UFO 50.
UFO 50 is amazing. So it is 50 games made in the style of old 80s PC games. And as you play them and beat them and get achievements, there's a little meta game on the outside.
Oh,
but as
shit.
far as I understand, every game in UFO 50 is made by a different developer.
So like a
I think.
WarioWare like?
Yeah, but they're like, some of them are like full games. Some of them are like, they all play like the old Nintendo games. So like platformers or puzzle games, but with like a modern sensibility. and they have 50 different games. So you have heavy strategic tactical ones, really fast paced ones, funny ones, and it took over YouTube. At least everybody was.
That sounds cool as hell. I don't know how that that missed me.
UFO 50 is fantastic. Balatro, fantastic.
Yeah.
Animal Well, fantastic.
Totally.
I'm unfamiliar with Lorelei and Neva, but
I've only heard of Lorelei and Laser Eyes and Neva. I haven't seen any gameplay, or it's not one that's been on my radar. Neither of them.
yeah.
All right, let's keep going forward here with best debut indie game. So we have Animal Well, Balatro, Manor Lords,
Excellent.
Pacific Drive,
Yeah.
and the Plucky Squire.
I mean, honestly, Manor Lords and Pacific Drive are the standouts for me. And honestly, when the autumn sale happens, I'm going to be looking at Pacific Drive. That's something I'm going to look.
Yeah,
up.
it's still on my list.
This is the first category where I'm like, I would be really hard pressed to not choose all of these.
Right.
I'm familiar with all of them.
Yeah.
Plucky Squire, although its art style might not appeal to adults because it's definitely like 3D cartoon coded, is crazy cool because it starts as a 2D kind of fantasy game, but then your character leaves and goes to a 3D environment and you go back and forth and use that as like a gameplay mechanic.
Cool.
And it's got kind of that game where you push the words around to create a code, Baba Is You?
Yes.
It's got that kind of a feel to it.
Okay.
All right. All these games are brilliant. That's a good category.
At the very least, this is expanding my wish list, so that's good. Best mobile game: AFK Journey, Balatro, Pokemon trading card game Rocket or Pocket, Wuthering Waves, and Zenless Zone Zero.
I'm very angry.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a lot of great mobile games.
Sure.
But there are some.
But Balatro.
Balatro being on mobile?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you can put any PC game on mobile.
Sure.
Like, I don't really know if this is a great pick for mobile games because it wasn't designed for mobile.
That
right?
said, I was waiting for Balatro to come to mobile.
Yeah,
so,
it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And like, if you're going to buy or pay money, I should say, for any of these games on your phone, Balatro's the one to do. Like, that's going to appeal to most people.
Yep.
The Pokemon TCG is just a neutered version of the card game itself, filled with bad UI and microtransaction hell. I tried it. AFK Journey is just a really beautiful AFK game, like every other AFK game out there that's trying to take your money. Wuthering Waves, I believe, is in the like sphere of Genshin Impact and the other ones, which those games are less egregious in their monetization. It's still there. But really, in the last couple of years, the gacha games that have made it to the top like these, they are getting better about being greedy. I mean, the people who play it heavily might not have the same opinion, but just from my experience, because I played quite a bit of Genshin, it was not nearly as like soul crushing as previous games years past. So.
No, and I actually watch a lot of these because a lot of our viewers play these and they stream. So I actually end up watching a lot of these.
I think I take it back. Hoyo Games the Hoyo verse is Genshin Impact.
Yes, and Honkai Star Rail.
So that's Zenless Zone Zero. Wuthering Waves, I think, is just a similar game.
Yeah. But and you're right. There's more game there than there used to be too.
Yeah, they're becoming actual games.
Yeah,
AFK Journey is not. It's a game in the sense that any idle game is a game, right? It's like there's really no player input that's going to make an impact. You're just pressing buttons, and it's fucking gorgeous. But like so isn't Coffee Table Art Book.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be at the Video Game Awards.
For sure. For sure. Coffee Table Art Books do not belong in the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Going further, best VRAR. Who cares? Best action game: Black Myth Wukong, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, and Warhammer 40K Space Marine.
Dope.
40K was great.
I think all of these.
Wukong's great.
Yeah, I think all of these probably deserve to be on the list. I mean, say what you want about Call of Duty, it's not my jam anymore.
And say what you want about Helldivers. Like, it's not a broken game.
Sure,
it's still fantastic until you have sunk your teeth into it and you realize it's got problems.
Right,
and it's still fun when it's not sucky.
Right. Yeah.
And then I haven't played Stellar Blade.
So I think good category overall, and I think deserving games in the category. Let's take a look at the next one. Best action adventure game. So we have Astrobot, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, Silent Hill 2, Star Wars Outlaws, and The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom.
I'm not going to say that Outlaws shouldn't be there. What I am going to say is that's a lot of heavy competition for a game of its caliber.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because while the scope is massive, the caliber is less so. I think Astrobot is kind of a surprise of the year in how good it is. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, I'm sorry, it's an Ubisoft game, so
Yeah,
I don't pay attention
sorry.
to it. Yeah. The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, though, looks like a fucking blast. I think that's...
I watched a good amount of it. It's
Yeah.
kind of clever.
The only reason I haven't bought it yet is I want to get more Switch controllers so we can play Mario Party.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be a blast.
I really do want to do that. So that's not my next game that I'm going to buy, but it's on my list for sure.
Randomly, real quick, there's a YouTube series I watch called "Don't Win Mario Party," where they play and the goal is not to win,
Yeah.
and it makes the game hilariously fun.
Well, shit, we might have to make that a gameplay style that we adopt. Then we have best RPG. There's Dragon's Dogma 2. Okay. Elden Ring: Shadow of the Erd Tree. Sure. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yeah. Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. Not surprisingly, just the
really good reviews.
just the crazy amount of game that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then Metaphor again.
It's telling that Veilguard was not on this.
Right. That's a good point, man. Best fighting game. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. The titles of these. Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics, Multiverses, and Tekken 8. How did Multiverses make it on here when they keep removing the fucking game?
Only 5 fighting games released this year. I don't know.
I mean, that was Street Fighter 6 last year. I guess it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sure. I guess that makes sense. Then we've got Best Family Game: Astrobot, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario Party Jamboree, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, and The Plucky Squire. I think,
Nintendo games.
yeah, essentially, which, yeah, they win the family category. Best Sim and Strategy: Age of Mythology Retold, Frostpunk 2, Kunitsigami Path of the Goddess, Manor Lords, and Unicorn Overload. I keep scrolling down. Sorry about that, but I know that there's a category that has one to scroll down.
Age Mythology Retold, really good reviews.
Yep.
Frostpunk 2, I think, is a better game than a lot of people gave it credit for because they were expecting more Frostpunk 1, and it went in a different direction.
Yeah.
Kunitsigami looked awesome. I touched the demo, and then I had to go make dinner, and it had crashed, so I didn't get to actually play it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Manor Lords, you really like that.
It's an excellent game. Updates have been pretty good. Keeping
I have
fresh
never
stuff.
heard of Unicorn Overlord.
I have. It's another Japanese Western inspired RPG. I'm not upset, but there are a lot of 4X and Grand Strategy games that have come out this year that I'm not surprised they're on this list, but it is yeah.
Well, would you say that these are a little bit more friendly than some of the
Frostpunk
4
2
games you
isn't
have on your mind?
friendly.
That's you know what? Fair enough.
Kunitsigami, I mean, it was bizarre in its like vibe, but like Chinese lore is amazing and bizarre. So, or it might be Japanese, but I think it was Japanese. Japanese lore is amazing and bizarre. So, like, why not the game? I don't know. I mean, again, we got more remakes. Age of Mythology might be great, but like, there are new games,
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
So.
All right, moving on. We've got best sports and racing games. Nobody cares.
There are all the sports and racing games that exist. Yeah.
That's them. Then we have best multiplayer: Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Helldivers 2, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Tekken 8, and Warhammer 40K Space Marine.
I can't get over my mental barrier of considering a fighting game a multiplayer game. Like, it's not correct, but in my mind, if there was like 2v2, 3v3 commonly in fighting games, it would be quote unquote more of a multiplayer game, which doesn't make any sense because at its core, it is just a you were literally just playing with another person,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it's a duo player.
It's in the fighter category. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
100%. We've got best adaptation. So Arcane, Fallout, Knuckles, Like a Dragon Yakuza, and Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. I haven't watched Tomb Raider yet. or Like a Dragon. I didn't actually know that had been adapted.
Neither did I.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not going to watch Knuckles probably, but Arcane, fantastic, and Fallout,
of course.
Yeah, Fallout was
Excellent.
really good. Fallout was a surprise hit for me. I know it wasn't for you guys, but it was a surprise hit for me. I liked it quite a bit. Most anticipated game, we have Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Ghosts of Yotai, Grand Theft Auto 6, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Monster Hunter Wilds.
That's pretty crazy lineup.
Yeah.
That is a pretty crazy one. I mean, I do look forward to all of these games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
If we're going by quantity alone, GTA 6 is going to take it.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
But just like the quality of hype for like Stranding 2 and a new Metroid Prime game,
Mm-hmm.
like their quality
Ghosts of
matches
Yotai.
the quantity of GTA 6's hype.
Yeah, definitely. And the Ghost of Yotai looks
Yeah.
fucking phenomenal.
Absolutely.
That's only based so far on theatrical trailers, but it looks great. Content Creator of the Year. It goes to Queso.
Just Facebook photos.
Yeah.
And then
No, this
Japanese-
is how Queso presents himself on
Yeah, it
stream.
very
And
much
this
is.
this
It
is
very much
yeah,
is.
and that dude is fucking hilarious. Like I don't watch his
He's
watch
the
his
only
stuff,
person I
but,
recognize
don't know who
readily.
but yeah, it goes to Queso, and everybody agrees. Best esports game, we've got Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, League of Legends, Mobile Legends, Bang Bang, and Valorant.
Bang came out like 9 fucking years ago.
I mean, League of
It's
Legends
garbage.
turned 13 this year.
League of Legends will-
Valorant is League of Legends shooter. Dota 2 came out
What is
longer.
this category again?
This is best esports game.
Oh, I mean,
League of Legends will probably take it with the Arcane hype.
Yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of people are shitting on Valorant lately because of changes they've made to the balance. So you're probably right.
League of Legends is just an abusive partner.
Yeah, 100%.
They're required by law to vote for it.
It's just like World of Warcraft. You're just an addict. Like if you're still playing
Yeah.
it, you're just an addict. Best esports athlete, nobody cares about that category. And best esports team, nobody cares about that either.
Yep.
And that is all of the nominees for all of the
Okay.
awards presented at the Game Awards, which is going to be happening on December 12th. And I'm sure we will
Excellent.
probably watch that, maybe even with you guys. That said, watch Arcane. Also, we may or may not be here next week. We haven't fully decided yet. Kind of depends on what happens. It
Day
is
before Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving. So we'll see. I think we're just gonna wait for vibes on that.
Yeah.
Uh,
We're gonna vibe check it.
Yeah, we're gonna vibe check it and then we'll figure that out.